What's up, everybody? How we doing?
What's up, buddy?
Live on this Thursday. I got to correct this time.
Yeah,
This this somber Thursday after what a fucking ending to this Maryland Michigan State game. As I was sitting next to a Sparty fan the entire night.
yeah. What was up with that? Why were you next to a Sparty fan? They were just at the bar with you.
Yeah, so I came downtown Indy to meet Bobby Trossett. Um, he's one of the Ravens guys. I'm sure most of our viewers probably know who he is. Does a lot of stuff with the Ravens and Sarah Ellison, and um, used to work for WBAL 98 Rock. So we got together last night and did a little bar hopping and ran into a bunch of really cool people here because I like to call this the NFL spring break because everybody kind of comes here. Nothing's really going on in terms of like no one's at the facilities. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Ending of the game sucked. Honestly,
And
most of the whole game sucked because nobody could score in the first half. Yeah, Joe Radke. What's up, Joe? How you doing
I'm
today?
glad you had a good time.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys won an OT. We looked like we were going to go to OT for a sec, and then Mr. Gillespie wanted to wanted to make sure that that did not happen. I did see a bunch of our friends were frustrated about Gillespie's shot selection at the end, taking that long three with like 3 or 4 seconds left on the shot clock and allowing Michigan State to get up a basket. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's one of those small things that shouldn't happen. We shouldn't lose a game that way, but also that shot's not going in 99.9% of the time. It's just a freak thing that it did. And of course, it was Michigan State again. I actually saw, I was comparing it to the 2010 game against Michigan State where Corey Lucius hit that dagger against us in the tournament. That I'll never forget. That was the worst day ever because I really think that team was going places. But I did see Eric Hayes went on Twitter and was just like, "This is just too similar and too eerie." And I went right back and responded that's given me 2010 flashbacks. What did you think of the game overall, and what did you think of the ending? Obviously, it was super disappointing.
Um, First of all, new gear,
Oh
Oreos,
shit! Look at that.
o- Oreos orange.
Orioles orange. It looks completely white on. Oh, is that the border? Oh, all right. I see it now. I thought it was our
Right.
normal red.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see from further away.
Yeah.
But yeah, Orioles orange for Orioles season. So
Hell yeah.
just came in yesterday afternoon. So we got about four different styles in. We'll be bringing them down to spring training.
Fuck yeah.
So they're not on the website yet, but we'll have them up here soon.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, back to the Terps. Yeah, it was pretty sloppy, to be honest with you, by both teams, really.
Yeah.
Neither team scored 60 points. So honestly, I felt like neither team really deserved to win that game. That was
Yeah.
kind of a grinded out kind of a game, and I feel like that's a game that we should win with our bigs, and they just didn't play very well in
Yeah.
particular. So they didn't deserve to win it. I mean, I would hope they could have went to overtime and won that game, but who really knows the way it was going? We had a little bit of momentum there at the end, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'm not terribly upset with the shot because I mean, if he takes that shot and he makes it, he's a hero. He's got a little bit of space, right? If he waits another couple seconds, he may not have a shot. I haven't looked that closely at the replay, and yeah, that next shot after that is I mean, what can you do? You just kind of like tip your cap and be like, ah, fuck. Um,
Not having a
so
timeout there was really like
yeah,
the tough
yeah,
thing because you just have so much more time to think about that stuff and talk about it. Now, like we know, make sure you get the last shot. Make sure they don't get an opportunity because the game's tied. All you need is a two. You don't need to take that long three, but obviously you want to get an open look as soon as possible. By the way, Gillespie was 0 for 6 last night from three and 2 for
yeah.
11
Not
from
like
the
him.
field. Not a good game from him, but he did make 11 out of 11 free throws, and a lot of those were in the last like 2-3 minutes of the game, and we really needed them. So he played okay, I guess. Him and Queen both had pretty off nights. Queen was 2 for 11 from the field, which for a big man who gets most of his his work done inside. That's not good numbers. You don't like big men.
Free throws not very good either, right?
No, he was 6 out of 9. So I mean,
Not terrible, but not the best. But
uh, but Gillespie got to the line 11 times. He was the big force for us. Julian Reese 4.7 boards, so he was almost a non-factor in this game, which I don't really understand. Miguel was in foul trouble the whole game. Um, Rodney Rice had like the quietest 20 points I've ever seen. It wasn't. I was not thinking he had 20 until they said, "Holy shit, he's got 20." But anyway, I love how Izzo. Did you? So you were watching at the bar. Did you get to hear the game at all or no?
I heard the first half. I didn't hear the second half because I headed downtown during halftime. Um, so I showed up to the bar downtown with probably about 10 minutes left, and we were down by like 8 or 10 or something like that. So we had to make a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't hear any of the second half, but um, yeah, the Michigan State fan next to me was losing her goddamn mind. I'm like, this means more for Maryland. I was like, actually, really, actually, it probably means more for them because that's not a terrible loss for us, really.
Yeah. That wouldn't have been a terrible loss for them either, going on the road against the number 16 team in the country. But anyway, the reason I asked if you could watch the game was because after the game, they, of course, they interviewed the coaches, and Tom Izzo was like, thank God we won this game. We deserved to win this game. We played better, and that was his sentiment basically, that his team played better. They grinded harder. They were in control of the game the whole way. I didn't necessarily feel the same way. I didn't feel like either team was really in control because neither team had a grasp on offense at all. Both teams played, I guess, well defensively, but that's partly you can say good defense or bad offense. I don't really know where the line is there. But I mean, look, we played terribly against one of the better teams in the country, and we still almost won the game. So I guess a moral victory in a sense, but it really felt like this game was there to take, and we just didn't snag it. And obviously the way the game ended, it's heartbreaking, and that's a freak thing that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, especially on your home court. It's a rough way to go. That doesn't happen very often. I feel like in the Xbox. So yeah, yeah, it was a dagger. There's no shot I thought that was going in. I mean, coming down the stretch there, I was like, all right, I really just didn't think we were gonna have enough to bring it back, but they kept making plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my hopes weren't terribly shattered because I was just kind of like, oh shit, we actually tied this up. We can send us to overtime. And then that happened. I'm like, fuck. But yeah, I don't think neither team played very well. Um, so, and again, like I said, if you're not gonna score 60 points by either team in a game, and I feel like we have the big man advantage there.
Against really anyone in the country, we have the big man advantage.
Most people. I just feel like we should win that game, but that's the more frustrating part for me.
Yeah.
But all in all, tough game for both teams.
Yeah, rather lose this game now than lose, later in March or in early April. But still, it doesn't feel good. Hopefully, the team learns a little bit of a lesson from this, and hopefully, they go out there on March 1 and kick the shit out of Penn State. I believe that's this weekend. Excuse me, sorry. I believe that's this Saturday.
They gave IU a run last night. A hot IU team, Penn State. And I didn't see the end of it, so I'm not sure. But it was a 1-point game, and they were winning for quite a bit of that game. So let me look up what the end.
I remember seeing Mike Woodson's grill on the TV after the Terps lost, but I was not paying attention to the television much anymore after that. So
let's go Big Ten, not Big West. Is that even a conference anymore? IU won 83-78. But yeah, Penn State gave IU, who I'm looking at Tommy DeVito's agent again. I feel like I've seen him everywhere this week. This is the third time I've seen him. That kind of scares me that game was that close with an IU team that's hot right now.
Yeah, coming off
So
an emotional loss to Michigan State, that might be a bad spot for Maryland. It's in Penn State as well, which doesn't help either. I don't think.
it's
Um,
we historically have not played well there.
Transitioning a little bit, Brooks, you mentioned that you saw Tommy DeVito's agent, and you just said you saw Daniel Jeremiah recently. Do the people know where you are? Do the people listening know that Brooks is combining right now?
What combining?
You're combining.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the convention center, trying to work my way into Radio Row here if I can sneak my way in there. But just showing face here a little bit, trying to make some connections down here, see if I can get some people on for us. I'll definitely be at the combine today. The gates don't open till 1, and drills and all that don't start until 3. There's also an outdoor fan experience over there today that I'll probably walk through and go live for as well. I don't know when that opens. Probably around 1 as well, I would assume. But yeah, just trying to give like the a little bit of an experience, a live experience for the people who've never been to the combine, and I haven't been to the combine either. So
Yeah.
this is the first time for me. So it's really cool running into a lot of people. Like everyone's here. Like just, I mean, I'm almost looking at Jerry Jones's bus over here. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of big time people walking around here. Made some good connections last night. Made some connections with the Jets people and some Giants people and even some Baltimore guys. There's a good Baltimore presence here actually.
Hell yeah.
So pretty
That's
cool.
awesome. I know Brian was saying the other day on the podcast that there weren't very many coaches or whatever there. Have you noticed a lot more funneling in as the week's gone on?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, both Hardballs are here. I know the Ravens special team coordinator is here. Zach Orr is here. Um, I know Andy Reid is here now. Trying to think who else has been walking around here besides who we've talked about earlier. I think there's a lot more than what was. I'm kind of thinking what was reported or earlier was who is here now or at that time, but there's definitely more than the 3 coaches that Rich Eisen was saying
Yeah.
here. So, but yeah,
All
there's
right.
and a lot of big time media people here too. So pretty cool. I mean, Reggie Wayne was out at the bars last night. Trying to think who else we saw out.
Still not in the Hall of Fame, by the way, that guy.
I know. I literally when I saw him and I just like the guys I was talking to. I was like, how pissed do you think that guy is right there? Like that he's not in the Hall of Fame, and he's here. He's here obviously because he's one of the wide receiver coaches for the Colts. So
That's yeah. He's 10th all time in receptions, 10th all time in receiving yards, 30th all time in touchdown catches, and he's got 6 Pro Bowls. I mean, just 14,000 yards and 82 touchdowns feels like a lot.
great question, Joe. If you know the answer, let us know.
Yeah, if you guys know where Brian is, hopefully we'll find him sometime. Joe, what happened in the Hogs game last night? You guys beat somebody in OT?
Yeah, who'd they play last night?
I don't know.
Let's see.
I know I'm really excited tonight for the Caps. Basically any hockey game is going to be appointment television now.
Texas.
So
They
close.
beat Texas in OT.
Wow.
I mean, that was a pretty even matchup. They got about the same record.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about. I don't know.
Chris Beard? I don't know. I wanted to say Shaka
Actually,
Smart.
I think I think you're right because I think Beard left Texas Tech to go there.
Yeah, maybe.
Tech or A&M? Was he at Tech? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I always mix those two up.
Have you seen the stuff going around that the NHL is going to start putting the Caps on like every primetime game to end the season because they want OV to score the goal on national television, and everyone's pissed off because that means that Joe B and Locker wouldn't be able to call the final goal. There's a big thing going on about that on Twitter, at least.
I mean, it makes sense in terms of it being on national television, but
Yeah,
I think that those guys should have some kind of a cast or a way to have their voices on it. Whether that be a local channel or something like that. It would be nice to have them actually do the national broadcast, but I don't know. Maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe they will let them do it. I don't know if they've announced that or not. So,
yeah,
but yeah, that does that does make sense. I mean, it should be.
yeah,
Everybody should be able to see it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But it would be a shame for the local guys to not at least get to put their voice in on the action. Um, yeah, I mean, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go with today's pod? I feel like we kind of covered the Terps. We're still, it's still spring training. Obviously, this is a slower time of year. Golf is just starting. Jake Knapp, by the way, 11 under through his first 15 today. That's pretty good. I can't do that.
Yeah. What do you? What's your bet on that?
He was, I think, 80 to 1. I put $5 on it, so 5 to win 400.
Nice. I
Just
mean,
a
nice
pretty
little
good
payout.
ROI. Yeah. I also
Yeah.
took Jordan Spieth at 40 to 1 because I couldn't believe he was 40 to 1, and he's six. He's 6 under. So we're having a good week so far. Good little start down at the Cognizant Classic, the former Honda at PGA National down in Florida. They're at Palm Beach Gardens, by the way. We're gonna be pretty close to them. I don't know where Palm Beach Gardens are. They're probably nowhere near where we're going in Florida.
That's not a
It's not
not
close.
close. It's on
No.
the other coast, buddy.
Yeah. Well,
It's on
whatever.
the other coast.
We tried our hardest, man.
Maps are hard sometimes.
Maps are tough, dude.
But yeah,
Next week is the API in Orlando. That'll be a little closer. That's like an hour and a half still.
Sugano,
Oh
Sugano,
yeah, I did. Old Stevie,
Sugano starting off his tenure with the Orioles with a 0 ERA.
big fan of
Um,
that. A
I
lot of
think
people talking about his 6 pitches. What do you think
he
about
just
that?
he basically evened up all of his pitches in
Yeah,
terms of the amount of times he threw them, which is pretty funny.
yeah,
And I mean, something that not a lot of people talked about. I saw that I don't know who reported this to give credit to. Probably Jacob Calvin Meyer or Rock. That's who I get a lot of my or most of my info from, just
yeah,
because they're there.
yeah.
Um, he's averaging 92.4 with his fastball.
I like that.
Um, that's not that's not bad at all. I mean, that's not what people were telling me on the Twitterverse. They were saying he was going to be like 88 to 90.
Yeah,
So, I mean, granted, he only threw 20 some pitches yesterday, probably. So, 2 innings worth. So, um, yeah, I mean, again, it's optimistic because he's facing actual major league batters and using the Major League Baseball.
yeah,
Yeah. Nick sitting 88 in Japan. And again, their radar guns are a little different over there, and their baseball is a little different over there. Um, so that's what the big thing is, or a big difference is from there to here. But it's promising just to see that I mean, still filling up the strike zone. Obviously, nothing was hit hard. It seemed like from what I was reading. Um, didn't walk anybody. Control seemed like it was like we wanted it to be, because control can be an issue with the seams being lower
hmm
coming over here. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a little bit of optimism out of it, but I'm not going to get all. We'll see what happens like when we get to like June. Then I'll
yeah,
see how I feel about it.
yeah. I mean, you know how I
Cautiously
feel about
optimistic, I
you know how,
think.
you know how we feel on this pod about Steve. I think he's gonna be a stud.
I think
And
he's gonna be solid. I think he's gonna be
yeah,
solid.
and honestly, if he's
That's all I
exactly
want.
what Albert Suarez was last year, that is perfectly okay with me. A very, very, very serviceable lower end of the rotation guy who went into the bullpen and didn't have any gripes about it. And if he's better, awesome. And if he's not as good, it's a 1 year deal anyway, right? So, um, yeah, I'm interested to see how this rotation shakes out, and interested to see if this is what it's going to look like going into the season. Do you expect at this point that this will be the majority the majority of the team going into the season, or do you think that there's another move before the season starts? I think we both expect moves by the deadline, but do you think by the time the season starts, there will be another major kind of thing?
Um,
Something smaller than like, somebody signing a minor league contract or something like that.
no, I think we're pretty close to where the team's going to be, unless I mean, obviously, I think we're still looking to make moves, but I just don't think anything's going to materialize
Yeah.
in this time frame. I think. I mean, there are deals that got done last year. Last year seemed like a ridiculous outlier with how late deals were getting done. Um, but yeah, I don't see a major move happening quite yet. Plus, I kind of want to. I kind of think they want to see some of these guys pitch for a month or two and see what they got. Because I mean, some guys that are in the rotation or in the bullpen um, could be moving in and out and up and down in terms of going down to AAA and bringing up some of those guys, and probably it's going to be a feeling out period to see what we got.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also want to see. I'm interested to see if they're going to do a 6-man rotation or not to protect some arms. I know this was brought up on a couple other podcasts, and we talked about this at the beginning of the offseason, I believe. Um, I think it's an option. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm interested to see, especially with all the arm injuries that have been happening across the league. Um, so just something that I'm interested to see if there's going to be some kind of transition at all.
Yeah.
And I know they wouldn't do it last year because Burns is pretty set on his 5-day schedule. That's what he likes. And if you have a guy like that in your rotation, you're not going to want to mess up that routine.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, and I think these other guys that we have are we can they don't have that aura about them in terms of, I don't know if that's the right word, where they're kind of set in their ways and they're a bona fide ace. I think we're able to have a little bit of flexibility with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Test some stuff out.
Yeah. Speaking of having a little bit more flexibility in the locker room, how about the New York Yankees getting rid of their facial hair policy? Did we ever talk about that on the pod?
I don't know if we did or not.
I don't think we did. I think it's a long overdue. I think it was the dumbest rule ever. I understand why they wanted to stand out, and it was kind of a cool thing back in the day. But I think society is such that now it doesn't really make a ton of sense. What did you think about it? Do you think it's a huge deal? Obviously, it's not a big deal, but it's a fun thing to talk about.
Well, it was a deal in the sense that I think it was hurting their. It seemed to be. I mean, at least it seemed like they were making it sound like it was a big deal in terms of free agents and stuff like that.
People didn't want to go there because they didn't want to shave. They didn't want to shave
Yeah,
off their facial hair.
yeah. I mean, which is ridiculous, right? I mean, that's why money kind of talks, right? You'll do whatever.
Yeah,
But if that's seriously starting to hinder some stuff or cause, I I could see them doing this just because I feel like people in the locker room might be getting disgruntled and be like, God, why the fuck are we doing this? And like they're
yeah,
starting to complain more about it. That they're
yeah.
just gonna be like, you know what? We don't need the locker room being pissed off about something as stupid as this.
Well, they traded for Devin Williams this offseason, and he
And
basically said
yeah,
he was like, I haven't shaved my face in like 6 years, baby clean, and he shows up to spring training baby clean, and they changed the rule 2 days later. If I was him, I'd be so pissed. But whatever. I mean, he can grow it back.
I mean, if I wouldn't be pissed, but I would be. I mean, I'd be appreciative that the team's listening a little bit.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
guess that's
if
true.
you get there and voice your concern, and maybe some other guys like Judge or
Yeah,
whoever else, or the big time locker room guys, might have came out and backed them up a little bit, and they were like, "All right, you know what? It's probably time."
yeah,
I do like tradition a little bit; it's fun, but that's one of those that. So the Braves used to be the same way, and when Bobby Cox was there, and so obviously my college coach went through the Bobby Cox system. Um, so most of our whole program was based around a lot of what Bobby Cox did, and one of the things that he did was clean shaven, so you can only have a mustache at Millersville. And I think it's still that way. He might have changed that last year, the year before. But that's why if you ever, I know nobody here watches that, but if you ever see me watches them, but like if you ever see me post anything, you'll see like a lot of their players have like fucking mustaches just as a joke. Like, hey, we can't grow beards, but we'll grow this fucking mustache out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, I think it was time. I think it was
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was time. It seemed like a little bit of a silly thing at this point. I mean, it's 2025. But there are some people who are frustrated. But I know our buddy. I think our buddy Drew was mad about it. He said he thought the Yankees were soft for changing that rule. Which some people can have that opinion. That's fair. I think.
He's an old traditionalist. He doesn't like change,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. He's a get off my lawn
which
kind
is
of guy,
fine.
and he has been since he was like 20.
He's been 60 since he was 20.
Yeah, he's the youngest old man ever. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, what are you looking forward to most out of the spring training trip that
Yeah,
we're
Joe,
getting
we
ready
should
to go on?
we should call the season.
Yeah,
I hope you're on Twitter right now, Joe, going after these Orioles fans right now, telling them just go back them up. Like, hey, call the season. I told you they didn't get better.
yeah,
Elias doesn't know what he's doing. He's ruining his whole team.
uh-huh. I love the one tweet of the guy said that Elias has done nothing other than his drafting, and I was just like, well, that's like 90% of his job, right? It's to
Oh,
draft and develop talent, right?
he hasn't done nothing. But remember that Cy Young guy we brought in last year?
Yeah. Well, he didn't win the Cy Young, but he was up there.
I mean, he's a Cy Young
He is a
contender,
Cy
top
Young
top
winner.
three every year.
Yeah, it's true. And people think it's his fault that Corbin Burns wanted to go live in Arizona with his family. But there's less informed people in the world than us, and we have to be wary of that.
Nick,
When we
I agree with you here, especially with a guy like Grayson who has had some injury issues. And I mean, and Morton. I mean, age has got to catch up to that guy at some point. I mean, he is consistently throwing 160, 170 innings every single year. So it's and putting up solid numbers every single year, especially against the AL. So um, I agree with you. I think that's definitely something that could help them. And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong here. I think Japan, I think they use a 6-man rotation. Um, so with
I don't
Sugano
know
coming over
that.
here, obviously that would keep him in his same kind of structure. Um, I could be wrong about that.
So who
I
are
feel
the
like I
six?
saw that somewhere.
Who are the six guys if it's six, and who are the five if they have to cut one down to five? Because we know Grayson, we know Kramer, we assume Charlie Morton will be in there, correct? And then we have who we have Sugano,
Sugano,
and
Sugano.
and is it Povich? Is it McDermott? Is it Suarez?
No, it's shit, who are we forgetting right now?
Am I
Uh,
missing somebody? Oh,
I think
Eflin.
Eflin. Yeah,
Okay,
Eflin. Eflin's going to be
okay.
the
So
two,
that would be
in
five. So
my
if there's a
opinion.
six,
Some people think
it's
it's because it's hit Povich. Povich is going to
okay.
be that swing man. We're not really sure what he's going to be because I mean I've heard Ryan talking about this and I've heard fucking work stuff. I've heard Ryan talk about this and a couple other guys. Povich is going to definitely have somewhere on this roster. I think at some point, I don't know if he's going to start up in the big leagues this year or not, but like having a 5-man rotation with 5 righties,
Yeah, that's scary.
it is. But then I heard Pigtown throw out that there's only 15 left-handed starters in the AL, and there's 23 or 26 in the NL.
That's fucking crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
But so am I terribly concerned about it? No. Like, would you like to have the variety thrown in there? Yeah. But again, I still think like if Povich proves himself, I mean, he looked great in his first outing in spring training. Hopefully, again, I'm not a guy that hangs my hat on a bunch of stuff with spring training. I do with younger guys and newer guys. It's nice to see, and you want to see that kind of stuff. because they still need to earn that. But older guys, like if the older guys who are proven guys are struggling, that's not going to bother me as
Yeah.
much. Um,
So,
but
so that would mean that
I think
Suarez.
Cade could be that sixth guy. Suarez, I think, is going to be a long guy and a spot
Yeah.
start guy if there's an injury.
Okay.
Um,
Which I think
or it get
that's a good
or it
role
gives
for
you the
him.
flex, yeah, or it gives you the flexibility to have him as a spot start or have a 5-man rotation if somebody goes down in like July, and then it's like, all right, well, if we've always done a 5-man rotation, we can transition into that, or
Yeah.
we can
Or like,
decide to bring Suarez back into it, or
yeah.
have Suarez start every other rotation through the
Yeah.
starters.
Every other rotation gives somebody an extra day or something like that. That
Yeah,
makes a little sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't mind that at all. And
that's where this depth thing is going to be a huge issue.
having Povich up to do the spot starting or just to take a little bit of the load off the lefties in the bullpen, that wouldn't make me upset either. I mean, Soto and Perez, I think we're probably going to and I guess Aiken are probably going to be getting the brunt of the work as lefties out of the pen.
Yep,
Um,
they're the
I
only lefties out of the pen.
Yeah, they're the guys, right? Those guys are going to have to lock it down. I did mention McDermott earlier. I think he already had what was it, a lat that he had like a lat strain or something. They were going to shut him down for a couple weeks and then get
Yeah,
him back going.
yeah, and again, we'll see what Trevor Rogers ends up doing. I
I
mean,
always
obviously,
forget about that
he's
guy.
going to start. He's going to start in the minors, and he's behind schedule with that slipped kneecap. He's throwing obviously, so he's not like that far behind.
Yeah,
It's not. I would say it's not an issue at this point. I think his just ramp up is a little bit behind. I wouldn't say the knee is actually an issue at the moment, um, in my opinion. But from a guy who's been through that injury that was more severe than what he had. And yeah, Nick, I mean, this is a great point. With everything that we've heard, it sounds like Bradish is ahead of schedule.
I'm I'm
I'm still very cautiously optimistic about this, but I mean,
skeptical.
they everything that they've said is they're saying like not too long after the All-Star break, and I'm like, I just hope that's not a rush job. Let's just make sure he's give me a healthy guy in August. I mean, or September. I mean, and I'd be pretty happy with that. Wells will be back at some point. We'll see. We'll see where he falls too. That's going to be interesting to see what happens with him because Wells should theoretically, right? I mean, everybody's rehab goes differently, but the procedure that Wells got is a shorter timetable, and they got both of their surgeries around the same time. So
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him as well.
yeah,
Um, I think he's a pen guy, obviously, but and he's another guy. Could be a spot start guy.
yeah.
He
Super effective
started,
for us as a starter
yeah.
so far in his career.
He could be a long guy if we need another. It's just going to depend. I don't know.
Yeah, Nick, I agree with this. They do seem to be a little bit more cautious talking about Wells. I feel like we haven't gotten as much information about him for whatever
I don't
reason.
think
But
they want to commit to like, hey, he'll be back before the All-Star break because I mean, I feel like that's a pretty big commitment. It says a lot to me that both the guys are throwing right now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's awesome. I don't
Speaking
know
of
how
guys coming
far,
back
I
from
don't know
Tommy
what their
John
progressions are, but
and throwing, are we going to see Felix Batista throw some live action in Sarasota? You think, or do we think he's going to be a little
well,
bit later?
he he threw live bullpen
I knew that. I
this
meant
week.
actual game action is
Yeah,
what I meant.
yeah, yeah. That's why I'm kind of thinking through timetables here. We certainly could, especially we could, but I'm not going to bet on it. I bet I bet he gets out there probably a week after we go down,
Yeah,
especially if they're iffy on opening day if he's going to be there or not. They're optimistic, but um,
they're not going to
we
play. They're not going to push it if they don't need to, right?
yeah, I would say there's a chance we see him, but I would say there's about a 15% chance we see him. I think the
Yeah.
next week timetable wise makes sense. I think he gets a couple more live sessions in here this week and next week, and then he starts going to in-game scenarios just because that adrenaline dump when you actually face real batters and another team, even though it's spring training, is definitely way different.
Oh yeah.
So, That's my thought process, but I could be wrong here, and I also don't know. Um, I'm not there talking to him. I don't know what the new rehab standards are for that as well. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'd like to see it. I'd like to get back there on the backfields for practice one day and see if I can at least see a bullpen or something.
Yeah. I would even go watch batting practice or go watch people shake balls. I don't give a shit. I just want to see some baseball live. It's been so long.
Yeah,
It was nice to see Kerstad hit a homer, Oppo. That was really cool seeing the opposite field power potential out of him, especially with that wall moving in left field a little bit. Going to have more of an opportunity as a left-handed hitter to spray it to the other way in Camden Yards this year. And also
Nick, we're
Enrique Bradfield. Sorry.
I was going to say, I was just the next comment here about Felix.
Yeah.
If that's his velocity, I'd be a little worried. I haven't seen anywhere anybody posting it at all.
Yeah. And this is just him ramping up, correct? I mean, that could be,
Correct. Like
if his ramp up is 96, who cares if his fastball is going to sit 98
correct,
once he
right?
gets there?
And again, adrenaline's going to boost a couple miles an hour
Yeah.
in real games. But if that's what it's going to be in a real game, I'm a little concerned because his fastball does
It's
not
fat.
have a ton of movement,
Yeah.
and everything. The reason why, I mean, obviously it's 101, you can get away with a lot of stuff for 102. But that's it, the splitter is what really makes that fastball even more effective. Okay,
So that's
I
per
didn't see
rock.
that.
So yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
see that either.
but yeah,
Um,
but I
but
mean that does. I mean, a bullpen session throwing 95, 96 is pretty. I mean, he's got a month here left to go, over a month here left to go.
yeah,
So that's not. I would say I'd be concerned if we're getting closer to opening day. Like opening day is next week, and that's where he's sitting during games. I'd be a little concerned. But as of right now, I wouldn't say I'm crazy concerned yet. But I don't expect him throwing 101 in a bullpen session. So
yeah. And honestly, I'm okay if he doesn't want to hit 101 the whole season because that's how he tore his UCL in the first place, was trying to reach back for one. And
eh,
that splitter is going to keep hitters off balance
the,
anyway because that splitter is so nasty. And also,
the
as such
splitter's the elbow.
such a big guy, the for such a big guy, the arm slot is, I think, pretty awkward with him. So I think it's a little harder to pick up his ball out of the arm. It seems that way, at least, because I mean, how many guys
Really,
have we seen that throw 100 that have a fastball changeup that haven't succeeded? Like, this guy's got to have something different about him other than the fact that he just throws gas.
Fuji, but
Well,
he
Fuji
just
didn't
couldn't
know
throw
where the ball was
strikes.
going.
But I mean, that was
I'm taking my
that was
Fuji shirt down to spring training. By the way, that's going to be the first one. I might wear it on the plane down.
that was Felix's whole thing to begin his career, is that he couldn't find the strike zone.
Yeah,
But the more concerning thing with the injury stuff, talking about Felix, is on the elbow is the splitter. That's the pain point for elbow injuries are splitters.
Explain that. Why is it because you have so much more momentum going and the ball's not coming off the way it normally does, or
So I
explain that?
mean, first of all, if you're split, it's obviously working your
Yeah,
ligaments down here.
yeah.
But when you throw it, you're kind of snapping it down a little bit in terms of like that with your elbow from your elbow to your hand.
It's
So
more
you're
of a
kind of like,
deliberate snap. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously you're doing that. You can tell the difference if you're actually throwing it, because if I'm explaining to somebody that doesn't know baseball, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's how you throw a baseball. But there's a deliberate difference when you're actually throwing it. It's not like you're just throwing it like a fastball. Kind of how everybody thinks you just throw a changeup like a fastball. You do in a sense, but there is some pronation stuff with it that you get into as well that
Yeah.
also affects the elbow. There's little things like that. It's not perfectly like I'm throwing this as hard as I can like a fastball. There's a little bit of difference in all these different things. And I've
Yeah.
noticed with splitters that when I've tried to throw them, I never could really do it. And the guys that I know that have and have done it really well have always said that that's what really puts a lot of pressure on the elbow,
Wow. Huh.
because
I never thought
it's
about
literally
that.
it's literally like pulling down.
So,
Even though your wrist is like this and not like this like a curveball, you're still snapping down towards.
yeah. So that's a kudos to a lot of the dudes who had long MLB careers that were, throwing splitters. That's
Well,
pretty
and
nuts.
think
I
about
think Roy
Schultz.
Halladay comes to mind.
Think about Schultz. He was one of those guys. Smoltz. Why am I saying
Smoltz,
Schultz?
yeah, Schultz.
Smoltz. I'm thinking about that because of something that happened here yesterday that we'll get to. But
Yeah,
Smoltz started his career, and he's notoriously a splitter guy, and he started his career as a starter, a hard throwing starter, and had to transition into the bullpen because he couldn't stay healthy.
yeah, he had TJ.
Mhm.
He's one of the only Hall of Famers that got TJ. By the way, I think he
One of
was
the
until
one
Billy
of the
Wagner went
only
in.
I was gonna say one of the only, if not the only.
Yeah, yeah, I think until
And
Billy Wagner went in, he was the only one. And Wagner had it on both arms, right?
Wagner broke his right arm,
Okay.
and that's when he learned to throw left-handed while his arm was broken. So I don't know if he ever actually got. I don't think he ever got it on his right arm.
It's fucking outrageous that dude is in the Hall of Fame and he didn't even use his dominant hand to pitch.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Wow. Jake Knapp, by the way, has shot a 59 at PGA National. That is the course record. Good for Jake Knapp and potentially good for my bank account. That's 12 under on day one.
Who's in second?
Second
what's our score?
Second is a tie between Daniel Berger and Russell Henley, and then we've got Sam Ryder and a couple other guys. Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, also in the top 10.
And is he way ahead?
He's 12 under. Second place is at 8 under.
So yeah.
So he's 4 shots ahead, but I mean, these dudes are going low on this course, and this is a course that used to play really, really difficult. I think 2 years ago, the winning score was 13, and that was really low for this tournament. Last year, it was 17. I think they've made some changes to the course itself that have made it a little easier and a little bit more scoreable for these guys. But this used to be like one of those courses that they were, -8, -9 was going to win the tournament. Now this guy goes out and shoots -12 in the first round. So yeah. Anyway.
You see. Speaking of what Joe's comment is right here. See that little bat flip from Kerstead? Send one easily over the left field fence.
I'm a big fan of that. I also saw a picture of that left field fence. It looks like they're bringing it in quite a bit. By the way,
looks like we're gonna be pushing to get it ready by opening day.
Yeah. Why did they start that in February? They could have done that in September.
I don't know.
It's so weird. Is it because they had to get through the concert schedule for
Oh
seating purposes?
man.
Westbrook has some back tightness. Going to make us a week or so. That's fine. I mean,
that's fine. But
February.
I did want to see him. But
it's February. Yeah. Well, we will see him down there. He'll be on the side, but he might not be playing. But yeah, we're going to miss some guys inherently anyway because it's spring training. They're going to be trying to get certain guys at bats, and certain other guys are not going to be playing. And also, they're going to be split squads as well. Are there split squads going on while we're down there? I assume, right?
I mean, that'll be for. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I didn't see it on the schedule at least, but there could be. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I'd rather have Westy be healthy. He doesn't need to prove anything right now. So, but that was more me being disappointed that I wasn't going to get the chance to see him out on the field.
Yeah.
But whatever. Rather than be healthy for the season.
How about the Delmarva Wild Ponies? By the way,
I'm getting that hat. I'm getting both those hats actually.
Awesome. For those of you guys who don't know, they do a pony swim down here in Ocean City every year, and they're renaming the Shorebirds the Delmarva Wild Ponies for one day only for that game of that day, and the logo is awesome.
Well, and honestly, their new Shorebird, because they're the Delmarva Shorebirds. I guess it's kind of like a heron kind of deal.
It's a heron. It looks like a heron. Yeah.
Yeah. That logo that they just can't. The new hat that they came out with looks really cool. I think Zach Moore, Pigtown Sports has one of those. I've seen him wear, and then I'm definitely gonna probably get one of those as well.
I wonder where we can get those. We need to find. I guess it's on MLB.com or maybe Minor League Baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. All right. Yeah, I don't really have any other things.
Did you?
For the day?
I know you saw me send this to the group chat, but did you see that thing about Schultz and Ian Rappaport happening yesterday here in Indy?
No.
So apparently, they got into it in a Starbucks here in Indy, and I didn't know this. For one of our buddies that comes on the show every once in a while, Sean Foley, said that I guess Ian went to the league and filed an actual report. And Rappaport's one of my favorite people to follow, so I didn't love that he went and did that. But I guess the whole thing was about Stafford and Tom Brady in Utah, Montana, Denver, somewhere out there, out west, skiing at Brady's house. Um, and I guess Rappaport tried to come in and clean it up a little bit because that would technically be tampering, um, if that was going on. Um, and I guess somehow Schultz had something where he quote tweeted it and said basically like, yeah, if you believe, like, I guess whenever Rappaport tried to clean it up, he tried to say like it wasn't happening or downplay it a little, somewhere where it didn't sound as much like it was tampering. And he's like, yeah, if you believe that, then I've got an oceanfront property out there I can sell you too.
Yeah.
So, or something to that effect. And so and I guess they got into it in a Starbucks here, and Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk wrote an article about it that went out last night. And while some of the media guys I was out with last night, they started showing me. I guess it went out like last evening, and they all started seeing it and were showing me it and started laughing about it. So that
Yeah,
was
I'm
kind of
looking
the
at
talk of one of the talks of last night.
yeah, I'm looking at it on on Pro Football Talk. The comments below the video or the article are really funny.
Yeah,
This is Jerry and George just going like this at each other. Really. Oh man. Yeah, what else is going on in Combine Land? Are a lot of the top players not doing it this year, or what's going
uh,
on? Are they there doing interviews and stuff and not participating in
well,
the physical aspects?
I guess I should say, I mean, to lead off with, the whole reason the combine started, right, was because to bring all the guys to a central location, or have a central location where all the guys can come to do all the medical stuff,
Yeah.
which is now transformed into what it is today in terms of like interviews
Mhm.
and doing all these different drills and everything like that. But it originated as just for medical purposes only, just to get all the
Yeah.
medicals done. But um, from what I'm hearing, I don't think Shador's gonna. I don't know if Shador's not going to throw, or not going to participate, but I think Ward is. Um, that's kind of the inkling that I'm getting around here, because Ward wants to try to get that number one overall QB pick, and he's basically gonna. It sounds like he's gonna do he's gonna be in it, and then he's basically gonna come out and say, basically bash Shador for not doing it or something like
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
um, but we'll see what actually happens, because I don't think his agent has officially come out and said that he is. I don't think he's officially said that he is either. But I will say that the Carter dude, what's his first name? Why am I blanking on his first name? The number one, everyone thinks he's going number one overall.
Oh, Abdul Carter.
Um, it sounds like that's what it's going to be from some of the Giants media that I was talking to last night.
Yeah. He's got a stress fracture in his foot or something. Stress reaction. But yeah, it
Yeah,
seems like he's going to be the guy regardless.
yeah. You guys get cursed and don't go. Oh yeah, we'll give him a woo pig. We'll give him a woo
Woo,
pig.
woo pig. Oh
I'm
man,
gonna
I
I'm
need
gonna
to
have to
start
go on.
watching some college baseball too.
I know. I mean, that just started what, Joe? How many weeks are we in? We're like 1 or 2 weeks in. So
Yeah.
I did see that. What was it? Northeastern had a lead over the Red Sox for a couple innings. That's kind of fun. That's like when we used to go down on our spring trip and play Miami, and we had a lead for a little bit.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. Kept it close for a little while.
um, all right. Well, yeah. I mean, we don't really
Other than
have a
that,
ton more content for the show, so we might. You
it's
want to?
not that I can think of. If you guys have anything that you can think of that we're missing,
Yeah.
we went over a ton on Tuesday evenings,
Yeah, we did.
and
And if you haven't seen that, go check it out because it was a little bit of a shit show. I think I had like
it was
something
fun.
like 8 or 9 course banquets
It was
during
fun.
the show.
I watched it back here yesterday at one point, and it was actually it went pretty well.
Hell yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I'll probably gates open here around 1. Um, I'll try to go live for some stuff. I'll try to go live for some members only stuff as well. Um, so yeah, I plan on hanging out around here, seeing who I can run into, what I can get. Definitely gonna give you guys some access to the actual combine itself and the combine experience, the outdoor fan experience or whatever. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Turn your notifications on and subscribe and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here, not my usual self because there's other people around that are way more important than I am. So I'm not gonna act like a jackass. So,
Yeah.
but
That's probably
but
a good idea. Keep a good head on your shoulders while you got that logo on your
for a
head.
little
Yeah.
for a little bit until we get to the bars,
Yeah. Yeah. Then we can let loose.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So, but
But
yeah,
yeah, guys, look
Dusty
forward
might
to.
Dusty might be around for some of that too. Just it's all kind of going to be pending. So,
Yeah.
like I said, 1 o'clock gates open over there. I'm already downtown, so I'll be working my regular stuff, my the job that makes the money while I'm down here as well.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to be intermittently poking around. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out.
Yeah, guys, check that out through the remainder of the day. If we'll have some updates on that. And also check us out next week in Sarasota. We will be live from spring training, multiple different days. We haven't exactly come up with our schedule for live content down there, but we're definitely going to have a ton of content coming out of that week, regardless of how many times we get to you live, which should be at least a couple times, I would think. And yeah, go Orioles and, go Jake Knapp.
Yeah, hell yeah. And also join our Huckleberries.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're gonna have probably our more drunken stuff behind a paywall, so you gotta work to get to it a little bit so we don't get in trouble. So you got a little taste of it. You got a little taste of it, the mild taste of it the other night.
Yeah.
But it'll be ramped up here
Yeah.
in a few short days. I'm excited. I can't believe it's just a couple days away.
I'm
I
amped.
need to start packing.
I'm hanging out with my buddies tomorrow and Saturday in Baltimore, and then Sunday I'm just kind of waiting until my flight on Monday. So I've been thinking about just booking my flight for one day earlier.
Oregon's bus just showed up.
Oregon?
Yeah.
There's no good players from Oregon.
No, they weren't any good this year.
Yeah, they suck. Dylan Gabriel's bad. Yeah, honestly, I wasn't a part of that, and I'm kind of glad. Kind of glad for that, for my liver's sake. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for tuning in and watching, and we will be back with you a ton next week. So tune in, and we might be back with you a little bit today. So keep those notifications on, and we will see you. We love you, and thank you for listening.
See you, boys. Love
See
you
ya.
guys.